Also, we should Timu's here. Since she's in both the Old Guard 2 this week and Dexter Resurrection next week, I decided to go ahead and do my top 10 favorite movies with Uma Thurman in it. Because who doesn't love Uma Thurman, right? Whether she's in like Pol Fiction, Kill Bill, many others. I even quite enjoyed her little cameo in movie 43 as well. I mean, she's been in some really cool stuff I've enjoyed. So, here are my official top 10 favorite Uma Thurman movies. Alright. Coming in at number 10, definitely did not get the best love from people like Roger Ebert and all, but I actually do quite think this is a better film than people give him credit for. Number 10 is Even Cowgirls Gets the Blues. Now, this is, of course, directed by Gus Van Sant, who obviously will go on to give us stuff like Good Will Hunting. He also did the Psycho remake and many others. It is actually adapted by a novel and is a drama that follows Sissy Hangshaw, a young woman who who's with an oversized thumb, becomes a hitchhiker and model, and her journey across America leads to a feminist rancher and a love affair. And she plays like the Sissy Hangshaw, who is just like this free spirit, eccentric hitchhiker searching for love, identity, and all. And she is actually pretty solid in this one. Even people who did not really like the movie would actually agree. You also had the likes of Lorraine Bracco, the late great Pat Morita was in this, John Hurt, Rain Phoenix, Keanu Reeves, Ed Begley Jr., Crispin Glover, some really decent supporting players. It is really interesting, worth giving a go. Sadly, it was a critical and commercial flop, and even earned like German a Razzie nomination, which, come on, that's unfair. She was actually good in it, but that's just me. Anyway. Coming in at number 9 is Ceremony. Ceremony is actually directed by Max Winkler, who is, yes, the son of Henry Winkler. And you also had the likes of Uma Thurman, Michael Angelorano, of course, from Sky High fame, Jake Johnson, Lee Pace. And it is a indie film that follows Sam Davis, who's a delusional young writer who crashes the weekend wedding of Zoe, a woman he's obsessed with, and of course, they end up pretty much falling in love here. Uma Thurman plays Zoe, the older woman, and the subject of Sam's attention, and of course, Sam is like the younger guy here. It is, of course, like those May December type movies. It is a really decent one, worth giving a go. Great performances by Uma Thurman and Micah. Really well worth a watch there. Alright. Number 9 is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. Now, here, of course, you have Uma Thurman, who gives a scene-stealing performance as Medusa, the snake-haired Gorgon, who's like gaze turns people into stones here. Uma Thurman is awesome in this one. Of course, you had like Pierce Brosnan, of course, directed by Chris Columbus, who gave us like the Harry Potter movies and all. Of course, you had obviously Logan Lerman, Brandon T. Jackson, Sean Bean as Zeus, Steve Coogan as Hades. Like, the first Percy Jackson is well worth a watch. I mean, the TV show is actually pretty decent, and the sequel is okay, but that first Percy Jackson definitely had some fun stuff going for it. Some interesting supporting players, some cool cast members. Definitely well worth a watch there. All right. Coming in at number 7 is Be Cool. Now, Be Cool is a sequel to 1995's Get Shorty. Of course, it's had like a Pulp Fiction reunion with Uma Thurman and John Travolta playing Edie Afton, who's a widow music executive, and like John Travolta's love interest here, and of course, obviously reuniting them from Pulp Fiction with the charm here. Of course, you had like Vince Vaughn, Dwayne Johnson, who obviously at the time went by The Rock, Cedric the Entertainer, Steven Tyler. I mean, Be Cool is not as good as Get Shorty is, but I used to always get a kick out of Be Cool. Definitely a lot of fun to check out. Of course, the chemistry between John Travolta and Uma Thurman is excellent to watch. It's a really good film if you guys ever seen that one. Alright. Also, Coming in at number 6 is Richard Linklater's Tape. Now, it's not like my favorite Richard Linklater film, nothing like that. But this movie does star, of course, Uma Thurman and her then husband Ethan Hawke, who obviously, if you guys don't know, do have a kid together, who is obviously Maya Hawke, who you might know from Stranger Things fame. And those who really play off, like they've of course done another film together, which I'll talk about here in a bit. But Tape is actually a pretty decent little indie film. You know, of course, it's like directed by Richard Linklater and shot on digital video and unfolds in like a single motel room, and three old friends, Vince, John, and Amy, reunite to a tense confrontation here. And of course, you have Uma Thurman, who plays Amy Randall, who's a pivotal figure from Vince and John's past, who appears late in the film here. And she's pretty solid in this one. Of course, you had Robert Sean Leonard, who was also great in this. Ethan Hawke. Again, it's not really like Richard Linklater's best work, nothing like that, but it's still a really decent film worth giving a go. Of course, for like Amy is like very confident and dramatic, and forcing both men to confront their guilt and differing recollection of a high school event here, and it's a really decent one worth giving a go. Alright, number 5 is Final Analyst. Now, this is, of course, a psychological thriller starring Uma Thurman, Richard Gere. You also had, like, Kim Basinger, Eric Roberts, directed by Phil Donahue. And if you guys don't know much about the story, it is a psychological thriller which, of course, stars Richard Gere as Dr. Isaac Barr, a San Francisco psychiatrist who becomes entangled with Heather Evans, played by Kim Basinger, the sister-in-law of his patient, Diana Baylor, who's, of course, played by Thurman. And she, of course, like Heather, seduces Isaac, drawing him into a dangerous web of manipulation. And, of course, Thurman plays Diana Baylor, who's a troubled patient whose psychological issues and complex relationship with her sister here. It is a really, like, of course, obviously, they were trying to capitalize on the success of Fatal Attraction. This definitely has some Fatal Attraction feel to it. But it is a really decent one worth giving a go. Crazy twisted turns around. Richard Gere, of course, with Uma Thurman, Kim Basinger. I mean, it is a really decent and very interesting film worth giving a go. Coming in at number 4 is 2005's remake of The Producers. Of course, you've got Uma Thurman, who plays Ola Agna Hansen, who's, of course, a Swedish actress and secretary who becomes the lead in the play of Springtime for Hitler. And she's, like, very glamorous. This is, of course, based on the hit Broadway musical as well as the Mel Gibson original film. And it, follows, like, disgraced Broadway producer Max Belsock and his accountant Leo Bloom as they scheme to stage a terrible musical here. Of course, it is like a pretty much like a ode to like golden age of musicals and stuff. You of course have like Nathan Lane, Matthew Broderick, Will Ferrell. Really cool music here. I mean, the original Mel Brooks one is good, but I admit I do prefer the remake a little bit. I mean, I used to always get a kick out of this one. I mean, the chemistry between Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane is great. Uma Thurman looked great in this one. I mean, definitely well worth a watch here. Alright. Coming in at number 3 is another film with Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, and that is Gaffa. Now, of course, this also had like Jude Law, Gore Vidal, Alan Arkin, directed by Andrew Niccol. It's of course set in like a futuristic society where like genetic engineering determines social status here, and Uma Thurman plays Irene Cassini, who's opposed and ambitious valid employee at Gaffa, who is constrained by her slightly imperfect genetics here. And Gaffa is a really decent one, worth giving a go. Really cool sci-fi 90s flair. I mean, of course, Thurman, Hawke was great. Really decent film worth giving a go. Alright, number 2 is Pol Fiction. I probably should have had this at number 1, but if I gotta choose her great performance between this and number 1 is probably her better performance. But hey, Pulp Fiction is still so. I mean, this is obviously my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie of all time. But Pulp Fiction is just great. Of course, you got Uma Thurman who plays Mia Wallace, who's the solitary wife of crime boss Marcellus Wallace, and she's been like very charismatic, flirtatious. Of course, like her dance sequence with John Travolta and with John Travolta is so iconic. I mean, she is really terrific here. Of course, Sam Jackson, John Travolta are both great in this. Pulp Fiction just really iconic. And of course, my number one favorite film of hers. I'm actually gonna include like both films at number one. Number one is Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. Of course, here you got Uma Thurman who plays Beatrix Kiddo, aka the Bride, who's a fierce and skilled assassin seeking revenge. And I mean, she is great in this. Like the action scenes is great. She really plays off the character, the Bride, perfectly. Of course, you had some other cool cast members like Daryl Hannah, the late Michael Madsen, Lucy Liu, Vivica A. Fox, the late Michael Parks. I mean, of course, the late great David Carradine. I mean, the violence and action in the Kill Bill movies are next level great. The film blends like martial arts, spaghetti westerns, cinema with stylized violence. It is just so great, really entertaining, and well worth a watch. But that's pretty much it there. Here's of course my quick rundown. Alright, number 10, Even Cowgirls Get the Blues. 9, Ceremony. 8, Percy Jackson. 7, Be Cool. 6, Tape. 5, Final Analyst. 4, The Producers. 3, Gaffa. 2, Pulp Fiction. And number 1 is the Kill Bill movies. Now there's other ones I probably could have added too. Let me see some other ones. My Super Ex-Girlfriend. That's actually a little more fun. That is so bad. She was just in King of Kings. That was actually pretty decent. I still gotta see Oh Canada. I was talking about that movie last year. Never got around to watching it. Maybe if it hits streaming, I'll probably give that one a go. Let's see. What else we got here? Down in Dark Hole is a pretty good one. Let's see. Of course, she was not a movie, but she was in the TV show Super Pump. Movie 43. Nymphomaniac. Yeah, definitely a different role for her. Belle Elmy with Patterson was pretty good. Prime. Les Miserables, the Liam Neeson one. Definitely not the Avengers, and no, not to be confused with Marvel's The Avengers. This is, of course, based on the TV show with Ray Fiennes. Yeah, that one. That movie, The Avengers, with Ray Fiennes, based on a TV show from the 60s, is awful. One of the worst things of the 90s. Beautiful Girls is a good one. I mean, she's been in some great stuff over the years, but let me let you guys. What are some of your favorite Uma Thurman movies? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is him.